Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the 2022 Subaru Forester Premier. This is the top trim and a pretty good representation of what modern Subaru can do. And if you're familiar with this generation of product, then the new 2022 facelift really isn't going to be all that radical. We've got some redesigned bumpers, some new headlights. They've updated the EyeSight suite, which is their active safety technology, and introduced a new feature since the last time that I've driven this product, which is the driver monitoring focus system, which I have a fair few thoughts on, which I'll get to later on in this review. Now, the Subaru is likable for quite a few reasons, but there's a couple traits in this vehicle that, if you're like me, might bother you slightly. So let's start off with the good. First of all, the Subaru Forester has got to have one of the largest greenhouses of any vehicle on sale today. You feel like you're in a truck in the way that you can just see everything. The visibility in every direction is fantastic. It's almost like being in a stadium of a football field. You can look in any direction that you want with barely any hindrance. And even though there's a lot of glass which will impact the quietness of the cabin, the degrees that this is off of the best in class really is very slight. Saying that, it is noisier, but it really isn't going to be enough of a problem, even for someone like me that is particularly sensitive to road noise and wind noise, as I do a lot of highway driving. Other things that I like, I think the build quality overall is pretty good. I love the leather and soft plastic combination that we see here, and I like that Subaru has gone with this hard plastic that has texture to it. It has a style to it. They could have maybe gone the easy route of putting just a piano black plastic slab in these places that you see this hard textured plastic, and I much prefer this. Other things that are fantastic with this product: second row seating. I can easily sit behind myself and have a good amount of headroom, knee room and foot room to spare. You'll see that there's quite a scalloped headliner, so that for taller passengers they shouldn't have much to complain about on a long trip back there in this Forester. And the boot space is very practical too. You'll see that you can easily fold away the security cover underneath the false floor, and as this vehicle is very boxy, it is going to be very versatile to your day-to-day moving about needs, I would say. Now, things that I'm not so fond about with the Forester: you only have one engine, and that's the 182 2.4 litre flat 4 engine. It's a little bit buzzy when you're at idle if the automatic stop-start doesn't engage, and it's only able to come with the CVT transmission and, of course, the asymmetrical all-wheel drive. There's a little bit of variation that you can have here in the Forester for drivetrain characteristics. First of all, here with this nice big knob down at the bottom, you can change between your two different X modes, left and the right, one side being the slippery, the other side being loose surfaces. And then on the steering wheel, you have two buttons labeled as S and I, and this will change around your throttle responsiveness, and it is quite startling how big of a difference it is. I don't see many people really varying far outside of what mode they choose. So for me, the car was in I, so I stuck with I, and that's the more relaxed throttle. But if you shift over to S, you will immediately feel the difference in the pickup of this engine. Now, the CVT has made quite some advances in the past year across the range of vehicles. Not all of them are better than what they used to be, but most of them certainly are improving. And in the case of this Subaru, we have the CVT that has 8 fake gears. It has software to shift the gears to make you think that it is a traditional transmission. And if you opted for the wilderness trim of this new Subaru Forester, those 8 set gears would be different to what they are here. What this does pan out to is that when you merge onto a highway, you pick up speed quickly, the transmission does shift, and most of the time feels pretty good, but it isn't happening 100% of the time. There's more than a few occasions where it acts like a CVT that we've come to know after the past 20, 30 years, however long it's been. So a situation right now where I'm climbing up a hill, the engine is holding at about 3,000 until I lift off of the throttle. So I would like a little more consistency in that software, in that programming, but to regular driving about day to day, it really doesn't make that big of a difference. The suspension of the Forester I find to be quite soft, so even just lightly correcting the steering wheel, here I am now at highway speed, you can feel the weight shifting side to side in this vehicle, and if you ever take a corner hard, you will feel the top heaviness of this product. Again, not really an issue if you're just doing regular day-to-day driving, but it's something you will notice if you're someone like me and you go in between a lot of different vehicles. And in this compact class, you can certainly find sweeter driving products than this. You can find quieter products than this. And that's why, for me, the Forester would not be my top choice in this segment. But it is a commendable product that has enough to like about it in other respects that I see why this is such a successful product for Subaru. For this top trim Premier, there's a couple of distinctive features that are set just for this trim level, one of them being the 9-speaker Harman Kardon sound system that I'm actually fairly impressed by. A particularly annoying feature for me, though, is the driver eye monitoring system, and it's a system that in theory could be very useful. If this is your family vehicle and you have a young teenager, you want to teach them good habits, and distracted driving is a real problem. I'm not going to get away from that fact, but this system I'm not sure is the solution, because all it does is monitor your eyes, and if your eyes drift away from the road for too long, a little beep goes off that will help you retain attention to the road ahead. It's the same beep that is used for if you go over the line, let's say, if you have your lane departure assist selected, but it's too easy to counteract. You simply just have a button right in front of my left knee that you can turn the system on and off. Every time you restart the car, it does re-engage the system, but if you are going to be selling people on this feature, I feel like it needs to be a little more firmly set in the product experience. And it certainly isn't perfect. There's times where even just adjusting my hat like this, we've got the beeper going off, or there was a time where I was just leaning my head back on the headrest and that infrared camera up above that second screen lost contact with my eyes. So it certainly needs some improvements, and in my opinion, it needs to be a little more dominant in the user experience. As much as I don't like it now, I would like it to be, in a way, a little more invasive, so that it was making itself known and making the issue of distracting driving known a little bit better. Steering is light and effortless. There's a lot of effortless components to this product, but if you want to get behind the wheel and feel connected to the car, the Forester doesn't tick that box, and I don't think it truly needs to either. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the 2022 Subaru Forester. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this short video, and I hope to see you again on the channel soon.